Wow. Okay, where to begin? We've been dating for 8 years. We met in high school and have been together ever since. We've grown and changed with each other, miraculously, and our relationship has been amazing. We were always communicative to each other, always doted on one another, have inside jokes that are years long, and have become so comfortable with who we are as a couple. Our relationship by all means is a wonderful one. But I guess I wouldn't be posting here if it was so wonderful, would I? As we've entered into adulthood, I started asking the bigger questions that I realized I wasn't really getting answers on. He's been against having kids, but I want kids. My biggest advice I received was to wait for his real answer when we were older because I asked these questions after dating for 4 years. I asked him what he wanted to do with his future, where he saw himself career-wise, and what he was feeling about who he was as a person, if he was changing and growing. To be honest, whenever we speak about these things, I always feel like it gets really quiet. He becomes shorter with his words. A lot of I don't knows. After asking questions many times, I get some answers once he's thought about it. But this scenario has always been regular for us. I'm asking bigger questions, trying to get feedback, and he gives little answers and asks to think about them. But we have always moved along. Next day, next season, we're really happy with each other. We cuddle and watch Netflix TV shows, go to the ice rink, have romantic dinners, and tell each other how much we adore one another. But those questions start to bother me. Why doesn't he want to answer them? Why doesn't he ask those about me? Is it necessarily bad that he doesn't want to ask? I mean, we're only in our 20s, but we've been dating for 8 years. The toss and turn was agonizing. I felt like I was waiting for an answer for a question I asked years ago, regardless of the timeline. I felt more and more pressure to have them answered, because we've been talking about marriage. When I would forget that those questions were so important to me, everything was hunky-dory. We'd talk about where we would live, the animals we would have, and name them, the kinds of TV shows we'd watch on a weekly basis. I pushed the issues I had been feeling in my core back inside, because I figured if I'm a patient girlfriend, a loving one, a supportive one, our relationship will get better. How long we've stayed together is testament to our ability to grow together. We've done it this long, why wouldn't it continue happening? But it hasn't. It really hasn't, guys. This last weekend something snapped. We were looking for places to live. We had 3 appointments. I was looking around the apartment, looking at the kitchen, looking at our bedroom. When we kissed each other goodbye after a post-appointment cuddle, nap, and I went back home. I burst out crying in the car. I was sobbing. When I got home, I called my mom. She came over. I was broken. Something died. Something straight up died. I don't know what's going on. I think I need to break up with him. I don't think this is the kind of change that I can ask of him. I don't think asking him to change is fair. It's not that I haven't been patient. I have. He has been giving me his answer to all my questions. I just haven't been happy with what they are. The silence, the skirting around the topic, the I don't knows. I thought we could grow through any scenario, but moving in together put it all into perspective for me. I'm not ready to move in with this guy. Earlier in the year, he told me he was all right with kids, with having them too. After that conversation, such a huge flood of relief hit me that I think spurred this season of ignorance. He answered my biggest big question, so I was happy. But the reality is setting in. Does he actually mean that? Did he say that to appease my asking? He has told me that I'm the best thing to happen to him, that he loves me, and that I inspire him to be a better person, and that he's happy he's with me because he wouldn't know how to date anyone else at this point since we've been together for so long. I wish he had the motivation and drive and a goal for himself. I wish he thought about his future. I wish he was more excited about life, more positive about life. I wish he wasn't so angry at people and himself. I wish he approached his problems readily and openly. I wish he was more emotionally available. I wish I knew how to do this without destroying him, because I think it will. His family would all turn on him, I know it. We've been talking about marriage. We're looking at places to live together. And I just imploded. I imploded. My gut is telling me to do this, and it's never been wrong. But how? How on earth do I do this? Relevant comments. Somebody said, "Hi, what you wrote really impacted me, and I would like to thank you for sharing that. I too have been feeling the same way as you in my own relationship, but I haven't been able to process the words. I don't really have advice. I haven't dealt with my situation, but what I will say is this. It is possible to grow from here. You are young, your future is bright, and you know what you want in life. You are too young to settle on the things that you will grow into. If you do break up, it won't be easy, but you sure as hell will make it through." There has been a quote that has been ringing through my head the past couple days. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Mark Twain. I hope that you find what is best for you. Original poster replied, "I couldn't even read that entire quote. I started tearing up. There are two sides to me. The side that is firm in her decision, understands she made it long ago, and was waiting for the other half of me to wake up. Then the other side is the side that loves him, loves what we are, loves who he is, and is blissfully ignorant. Thank you for your encouragement. There is growth that can come from this. I don't want to settle. I don't want to be unhappy. I just thought it was him for the longest time, and now it's not. I'll be okay, but holy crap, this is going to hurt. And I'm the one who's doing it. To him, his family, our friends, 8 years builds a huge network, and I'll be shutting part of it down. I'll recover. I know people will be okay, and I'll be okay, but causing hurt is just not what I do. But I can do it if it's for myself." Somebody said, "I wish he wasn't so angry at people and himself." There's something here. What is he angry about? Original poster replied, "He gets angry at people online, angry at bad drivers on the road. He gets angry when he's competitive. He gets angry when things don't happen like they should. I've told him he needs to see someone about it, but he hates therapists. He has a lot of resentment in his heart. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's awful. He's never violent, but he raises his voice, curses, and flips things over sometimes, like controllers or folders. I've never felt all right about it. Whenever he would start doing that stuff to me, I would put my foot down and let him know, very clearly, he is never to treat me that way. It's the single thing I've been unrelenting and strong about. He promised me the next time it became a problem, he would see someone about it. But there have been little bursts that don't warrant a problem, but are enough to put me on edge. This is a problem he doesn't want to address for painful reasons, I think. But it has definitely added to the problem of me not wanting to be with him in the long term, unless he got help and figured it out." Update 1 week later. So, the big conversation happened on Friday, a day earlier than what I was expecting. After writing this post and speaking to trusted family and friends, I decided I didn't want to wake up like I had all week, feeling like hell anymore. I'd open my eyes and just immediately feel that familiar pain in my chest. I wanted it to be over. He had been texting me normally during the week, so I knew he wasn't expecting this. It made it so much harder. That part wasn't easy, texting him back very plainly to avoid lying or leading him on. But I asked him if he'd like to meet on Friday, and he said he'd love to, so I went over in the morning after running a few errands with my brother. He drove what he called the getaway car and said he'd pick me up when it was over. It was so hard. His family was decorating the house for Christmas. As soon as I got there, his mother asked me to help drape some garland across the front porch. I stood there with my heart in my throat, helping her out. As soon as I found a window, I walked into the house and found him in the kitchen. He was still in his pajamas. I asked if we could talk in his room, and he said sure. He wrapped me in a hug and rubbed my back, and it took everything not to cry right then. We walked up the stairs to his room. I closed the door and gave him one last, huge hug in the privacy of his room. I took a breath and then asked if we could sit down. I sat crisscrossed and began. I told him that I had been in so much pain since we came back after looking at places to live together. I told him that I didn't think we should live together. I told him that was because I didn't think we should be together. I told him it wasn't his fault, that this wasn't because he had something wrong. I told him I felt like there was something wrong with our relationship, and that I knew moving in together wasn't the right choice for us, and ultimately committing to each other like that wasn't the right choice for me. I told him that I wasn't able to commit to him in that way when the choice came. I told him that it wasn't a smooth transition, that this decision came all at me at once, like a freight train. I told him that I was sorry. He asked me why I was doing this. He looked absolutely shocked. He told me he thought everything was perfect and that he didn't understand why I was saying this. He asked me where we should go from here. I told him I wanted to talk this out since we've been together for so long. I told him I wasn't going to waver in my decision because I felt like it was the right choice to make, but I wanted to talk it out. Instead, he went to his dresser, got out of his pajamas, got into a change of clothes, grabbed his backpack, and left. His mother asked him for more Christmas help, but as far as I knew, he walked by her. I sat there in shock, I guess. Before he left, he said, "See you Saturday," because our friends were having a Friendsgiving. I could feel the hysteria come on. It was like a tidal wave. The reality of what I had just done. It was like every elegant, composed, logical reason I had for breaking up went right out the window. Every graceful approach I was going to take this conversation in just blanked on me. I was simply honest and raw, and now I felt like the shittest person I'd ever known. I got my shoes on and flew down the stairs. His mother was asking me for more Christmas help, but for the first time in years, I ignored her and ran out the front door. I was walking away from his house. After I had reached the street, she came outside. I could hear her steps behind me. She called out my name with the same urgency that you call out to someone as if they forgot something in the house. I didn't turn around. She called out my name again, louder, and I rounded the corner towards the rest of the neighborhood. I then called my brother and asked him to pick me up. He was there in 2 seconds. The car was still moving as I opened the door and slid inside, and I was out of there. That was by far the hardest thing I've ever done. I was sobbing. My brother held my hand. It was loud, heartbreaking sobbing. I can't believe I had ended an 8-year relationship, but I did. I went home and my family was all there. They all comforted me through it and told me their breakup stories of their first loves. That was Friday. Today, Monday, I have to say, it was absolutely the correct decision for me to make. After the initial tears, hysteria, and destruction, I realized I had needed to make that decision for a long time. I feel fuller, in a way, if that makes sense, and I'm excited for what's to come for me. Thank you all for your words of wisdom, your insights, and your support. I really appreciated all of your comments, and I read them a few times a day to give me strength in my down moments. I've gotten to the other side of this, and I appreciate all of your input. To be honest, I'm shocked again at the response. Thank you all, even the people who don't agree with my decision. If I were to respond to you all and include every single detail of our relationship to try and justify myself, I think it would defeat the point of reading your honest responses, because that's what I'll be dealing with going forward. I appreciate every comment. I've gone through and read them all. Thank you for your eyes and time spent giving your input. I'm 21 years old. I graduated from university with my undergrad in 2024. At the time of graduating, I thought that I had around 10,000 of federal student loans. Recently, my mom left my emotionally abusive father, leaving just her, me, and my sibling by ourselves. I was happy at this decision until I found out that the 10,000 of debt I thought I was in was actually far more than that. I knew that throughout my first year of university, he had taken out some private student loans for me. I was told by my father that since I was only 18 at the time, the bank we loaned from wouldn't allow me to pull out loans since I didn't have good credit. He told me that he would be able to take out these student loans under my mother's name and that he'd pay them off as soon as I'm done with school. I found out recently that the loans were in fact under my name with my mom just as a cosigner. Also that the loans were far more than was needed to pay for my tuition. She did not know this either, by the way. He had taken out a total of $48,000 in private student loans under my name. I remember signing for these. He did not forge my signature. When I asked exactly what I was signing for, or more details about everything he told me, Stop asking questions and just trust me. Every time I tried to push for answers, I got that response. I trusted him. I trusted that he would not screw me over. I had trusted him to help build my credit when I turned 18. I found out now that he's completely messed up my credit too. My TransUnion score is 669 and my Equifax score is 577. He used my tuition money for rent and bills. I do not know what he used the money he got from my credit cards for. Throughout the past few years, he had convinced us that he was making a lot of money from his job. I now realize that he was likely lying about that and just secretly screwing me over, and my mom too, since he's also messed up her credit. I have 3 closed credit cards that are in debt, I think. One is $6,055 balance, $2,250 credit limit with $6,055 due. The second is $28,864 reported balance, $1,000 credit limit with $0 due. Does this second one mean that I don't have to pay off the balance? The third one is $6,220 balance, $6,000 credit limit with $740 due. From what I have looked up, it seems like I owe a little over $35,000 in credit card debt. I also know that he's messed up my siblings' credit too. I'm not sure how much. I haven't had the chance to look into that. Also, I think it's important to note that he currently owes 3 different family members over $200,000. I found this out this week too. Flash forward to now, I found out about these loans a few days ago. I now have a total of $58,000 in student loan debt in addition to my credit debt. My first student loan payment is due in less than 3 weeks. I need advice. I don't want to take legal action against him. I don't want him to end up in jail. He is currently helping us by paying for our rent and car, even though my mom has left him. My mom doesn't currently have a job, though she is looking, and my job doesn't make nearly enough to provide for ourselves without his help. In August, I will start a higher-paying job and possibly pick up a second job to pay off my debt. So I could ask him to just send me money every month instead of paying for rent and the car. I could use that money to help pay off the debt. As of right now, I am not worried about my federal student loans. The minimum payment is doable, and I will receive around $14,000 of tuition reimbursement in March-April, so that will help. Should I consolidate the private loans? Should I refinance? I've briefly considered filing for bankruptcy since I have no assets, but I know that's probably a bad idea. Is there a way for me to not have to deal with this debt without landing him in a lot of trouble? Some relevant comments. Somebody asked, "Did you know what they signed?" Original poster replied, "It was an electronic signature for the loan where you use the mouse to draw out your signature. He called me over to sign it on his laptop. At the time, I still thought that the money would be under my mother's name. I also did not know how much money it would be." Commenter, "I don't want to take legal action against him." Okay, then you're going to have to pay the loans or declare bankruptcy. Another commenter, "I don't want to take legal action against him. I don't want him to end up in jail." You need to get past this, because he doesn't care what he does to you, and he isn't only hurting you. He is hurting and taking advantage of a lot of people, and is actively ruining your futures to benefit himself. He is currently helping us by paying for our rent and car, even though my mom has left him. He isn't helping you. He is providing just enough to hope you don't take action against him, and the money is money he owes you, not that he is using to support you out of care for you and your family. He is not helping, he is using money he took from you and others to pay for that. You are paying for that help in the form of increasing debt, not him. And if he doesn't face serious repercussions for his actions, he is going to keep doing it, and you will never get out of the increasing debt he'll continue to saddle you and everyone else with. At the very least, you need to make sure you and your siblings' credit is locked down now to prevent him from taking out new cards and loans under your names. But you really need to just report him to the police so you can remove that debt. Why are you so worried about ruining his life when he isn't worried about ruining the lives of you, your siblings, and everyone else he has taken advantage of? If anyone ruins his life, it will be him by his own actions. Update. After reading all these responses and talking with some close friends of mine, I see that the best thing to do is file against him. I brought up the topic to my mother last night, and she, being very religious, said, "No, don't do that. God wouldn't want you to harm another person like this, let alone your own father." She said that she'd rather take on the private student loan debt by refinancing and transferring it to her. But honestly, that wouldn't remove the credit card debt, and it'd leave her with the debt instead. I don't think that's a good choice. I think that if I file against my dad, my mother will kick me out. So if I file, I will already be prepared to move out. That being said, I currently only have $2,000 saved up from work, and that will not be enough to move out on my own. I'd need more money to get a car, place, and overall survive. I just moved to the city I'm in less than a year ago, so I don't have many people to rely on here. My boyfriend offered to let me live at his family's house, but I'd still need to be able to travel to and from work, and I don't want to overstay my welcome. I also don't have the option to move because I have to work in the state of Florida to qualify for my university's tuition reimbursement. In March, I had over $14,000 tuition reimbursement coming in. My best bet would be to wait till March and then leave. It breaks my heart to do this because I could be disowned by every person in my family, but I can't let myself live with this debt. Prior to this, I thought I only had $10,000 worth of debt, and with that, I could have easily lived a good life and paid it off quickly. I'm still not 100% set on this decision, but I do realize that it is the logical thing to do. I want to speak with my sibling to see how much debt my father put them in, and to see if they'd want to file too. I also want to speak with a lawyer or someone more knowledgeable than me about this. Does anyone have any advice based on this update? My mom's religious comments are obviously ridiculous, but I'm mostly looking for help with how to file or what to expect. I have records showing $23,000 of refunds went to a bank account he controlled. I didn't see a dime of that money, and I think he used it to pay for a vacation. Not gonna lie. Relevant comments. Somebody asked, "Is it possible for you to find a new place or rent near their job?" Original poster replied, "I'm a substitute teacher. I work at different schools around the county, so it wouldn't be possible for me to get a job near work, unfortunately." Another question, "How did your father get involved in you signing the documents with mother?" Original poster replied, "All I did was sign. He filled out everything." Now, I understand looking back that I was stupid for signing without asking. But after some further looking into things, I see that the amount of money I was refunded by my school was an insane amount and not an amount I could have spent by myself in one semester, aka 12,000 extra refunded in a semester where my tuition was only 2,000. He must have used that money himself on non-education related things. Also, the credit cards I did not sign for. I didn't even know that you signed for credit cards. He did that all himself, commenter. It sounds to me like both your mom and your dad are in this together, and that if you don't file against them, they will come out ahead, and you will come out behind. God didn't want your mom to leave your dad either, but she did, so she doesn't have a leg to stand on when is preaching to you. Report him to anyone you can. Also, if you were under 18 years old, you can't be held responsible for any contracts.